Hi, welcome back. I'm Christine Sensenig-Miller. I'm a certified massage therapist and yoga teacher with Giving Tree Massage in Goshen, Indiana. If you're here with me today, hopefully it's because you feel ready to move on from what we did in the home yoga workshop levels 1 and 2. If not, please go back and work with those first 2 videos. This is the third in that series. You can find them right here on this channel. It's really important to build a strong foundation for what we're doing and to progressively build on that foundation step by step. So start at the beginning. Today in level 3, let's look a bit more at the mind-body connection, which is something we're actively working with when we practice yoga. The mind-body connection refers to the idea that the way we think, what we feel, and what we believe can affect the physical functioning of our bodies. And also, the opposite is true. What we do with our physical bodies can affect our thoughts, feelings, actions, and beliefs. It's a complex connection. We can't separate one from the other. As you begin to develop your practice of yoga, you start to experience this connection in a more concrete way. You can use the way you're moving and breathing to affect what's going on in your mind. In the same way, you can use your mind to choose much of what your physical body is doing. So, key choices that our minds get to make at every moment about our physical bodies include things like, number 1, how am I breathing? Number 2, how am I holding tension in my body? Number 3, how am I moving or how am I positioned throughout my day? The choices we make about our physical bodies affect how our bodies feel and function. How we feel and function definitely affects how we think, act, and perceive. So we can't really separate our bodies from our minds. It's like a loop. Body affects mind, affects body, affects mind, so forth. And we can steer both. Yoga developed way back as a tool to help our bodies, to help us use our bodies to positively affect our minds and to help us use our minds to positively affect our bodies, both ways. It teaches us things like 1, how to breathe fully, deeply, and evenly more of the time. Number 2, how to not clench and hold tension in our bodies in response to stress. And stress is usually a thing in our mind. It's what our mind creates of our physical environment as well. Number 3, how to use our bodies effectively and freely in our movements, actions, and tasks. Number 4, how to quiet our mind and care for our bodies. So, yoga is inherently designed to help us experientially learn how to use our bodies to affect our minds and vice versa. Pay attention to how this works as you practice. Okay, let's talk about what we're doing today. We're going to focus on some of the fundamental standing and balance poses of Hatha yoga. Some of you will find that it works out well to do some of this practice, but not all of it, and that's fine. Whenever you encounter a pose or movement that isn't a good option for you, even with modification, you can use that time to do a different pose that you learned in one of the previous 2 practices. By now, as we discussed last time, you should have a practice list of poses and movements that work well for you and that you want to keep doing. Your practice list will be so useful to you whenever I lead a movement that doesn't feel like a good idea for you. So at that point, you look at your list, you pick a different movement that seems like a reasonable substitution, and that feels important for you to do, and then you have full authority to do that. Pay attention, listen to sensation, find that balance between challenging yourself and being gentle. It's your practice, so you get to steer it and add and subtract from what I'm doing as it feels right to you. That's part of the beauty of learning to steer your own practice. Well, you can still do this level 3 practice without a yoga mat. It will be much easier if you have one. We talked about that in the level 2 video. By the time you get to the next video on level 4, you will definitely need to have a mat for things to work out well. In addition to the places that I mentioned in the level 2 video, you can easily find mats online. So yogaaccessories.com and yogaoutlet.com are 2 discount sites for yoga supplies. So they would have all kinds of options. But you can also just use Google. You should be able to find a standard yoga mat for between $7 and $12. And as you're shopping, you'll see some mats are advertised as being a 1/4 inch thick and some are an 1/8 inch thick. It's just a matter of thickness and a matter of personal preference. I don't recommend one over the other. The difference is the 1/4 inch thick one is going to be squishier, so you'll have more cushion when you're down on the floor. But the advantage of the 1/8 inch mat is when you're standing and trying to balance, especially as we get into some balance poses like we will today. If you have a squishy, cushy mat, your feet move more and it's harder to balance. So not having a lot of padding is nice for when you're standing up. Some people get one of each, or there are a couple things people do. They'll get one of each kind of mat and then use the thin mat when they're standing and balancing, use the cushier one when they're down on the floor, or they'll stack them on top of each other, or they'll get 2 1/8 inch mats that they then can stack on top of each other to have a cushier mat when they're down on the floor. Just pick one that you like. It's not going to make that big of a difference, but that is a question that might come up. All right, let's go to practice. All right, let's get started with a review of 2 things, starting with the half sun salutation. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see the side view. And we did this in level 1, starting with the feet. Stack up your mountain pose, feet hip width, hips over feet, shoulders over hips, neck in line with the rest of the spine, crown of the head reaching up towards the ceiling. Shoulders relax down, away from your ears. Mountain pose, broad across the collarbones. All right, 3 rounds of a half sun salutation. We'll exhale. Inhale, arms up, look up, lengthen the front. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half arch. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, stand up. Long front. Exhale, mountain. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half arch. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend your knees, drop your hips, stand all the way up, lengthen the front. Exhale, mountain. Last time, focusing even more on the breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. All right, let's do twisting chair, which we also did in the first video. So let's review chair pose to start with. We're gonna bend the knees, let the hips sit down. You're in mountain pose to start, so your feet are hip width, then your knees are hip width, your knees stay hip width, hips sit down, nice long line from the back from your low back up through your arms reaching up to where the wall and ceiling meet overhead. And we breathe, chair pose. Peek at your toes. Make sure your hips are back enough that you can see your toes. Couple of breaths. Next inhale, we're going to stand up. Exhale, mountain pose. Now the twisting version, I'm going to face you for this one. So we inhale, arms up, look up, lengthen the front, palms together. Exhale, twist to the left. Knees are in line with each other. Belly turning left, gaze up past left shoulder. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, twist to the right. Arms make a parallel line. Inhale, up. Exhale, left. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist right. Once more each side, inhale, up. Exhale, twist left. Inhale, up. Exhale, twist right. Inhale, up. Exhale, mountain pose. Now, wide leg forward fold. We're going to step our feet wide and take our arms wide like this, and then check to see how much you can move your feet out to be more or less underneath your hands. Now, if going that wide doesn't feel comfortable, by all means you can have your feet closer together, but test it out. Sometimes people don't even think of going that wide, so see how that feels. As wide as you comfortably can, but no wider than your hands. We're not doing the splits here. We just want nice wide stance, arms outstretched. Let your toes point forward and even inwards a little bit. Definitely not out to the sides. Hands to your hips. Inhale, nice long spine, your shoulders are relaxed down. Exhale, forward fold. We're going to hinge in the hips, come forward. You can even soften your knees a bit if you need to, but you don't have to because it's a different setup than when we have the legs together. So you have options here. You can keep your hands on your hips. Actually, keep your hands on the hips for a second. Let's inhale, lengthen out your spine again, kind of like a half arch. Go halfway up, look up, get a little more length, and then exhale, forward fold again. That gives you a little chance to deepen the pose, stretch the hamstrings out a bit more. Let the crown of the head move towards the floor. Okay, hands can stay on your hips, or you could take hands to the outsides of your lower leg, get a little more traction downward. You could take your first two fingers and loop the outsides of your big toes like this. Get a little more traction that way with your elbows bending out to either side. Or you could put your hands in that line, that center line between your 2 feet, in which case you can inhale, lengthen out your spine again, and then exhale, you have traction on the floor where you can grip the floor with your hands, let your elbows bend backwards, maybe crown of the head towards the floor, or just moving in the direction of the floor, eventually coming to the floor. Eventually, maybe even going into that line between your hands so that you have hands, feet, and head all in a line. Wide leg forward fold, different options. Wherever you have your head, let's exhale, one last exhale. Inhale, lift your head up. Walk your hands to go underneath your face. Wiggle your feet a little more forward. And if your hands are on your hips, you can just stay there. If your hands are on the floor, you could walk your hands away from you and come into a wide leg downward facing dog. Well, it's downward facing dog from the hips to the hands and wide leg forward fold from the hips to through the legs and feet. Couple breaths. Last exhale. Inhale, head comes up, hands walk back, feet wiggle a little closer together, hands to the hips. Okay, exhale here. Then on the inhale, bend your knees for safety. Use your legs to come up with a nice flat back. Inhale up. Wide leg forward fold. Step your feet together. Walk it out a little bit. Shake it out. And then take your feet wide again. Take your hands wide. Same thing we did before, but different pose this time. So we're going to do triangle pose. Point your right toes to the right. And then check your feet. You want your right heel to bisect the middle of your left foot. If you draw a line back, you would have a line from the heel to the middle of the foot. So you're lined up. Spread your right toes out nice and wide. You can even pick up your toes and make your arch work a little bit. Activate your arch and then lay your toes back down. Make them as wide as you can, just like we talked about before. Nice wide feet when we're standing on our feet, and soon we'll be talking about wide hands when we're weight bearing in our hands. Now, triangle pose. Inhale here. Exhale, hinge in your right hip and take your right hand down on your leg. So right hand could be anywhere along the right leg. We'll talk about that more in a second. Left arm is going straight up. Straight, so left arm straight over your right arm. You have different lines here. Fingertip down, line between the feet. Okay, if you have the balance, look at a point past your left fingers, up on the ceiling. Otherwise, you can look straight ahead at something kind of in your line of vision that will help you balance. But start deciding here where your right arm is going to go. You can take it farther down the leg. But what you don't want to do is go so far down that your hips start going back. So I'm going to turn and show you that from the side. So we don't want this, okay? We do want this. So there will be a point as you work down your right leg where you start to lose that alignment of being in one plane. It's like you want to imagine that there's a wall behind you and you can line the whole pose up against that wall. Or another image is that the pose is in between two planes of glass. And if you lose the alignment, that doesn't work anymore. So find your place, then exhale. Inhale, bend your right knee, come up. Okay, I'm going to turn again. This is a wide angle lens on this camera, so it sort of distorts some of the orientation of things and makes the yoga mat look really wide. So bear with me on that. Other side. Left toes point left. Line between the feet. Arms over feet. Inhale. Exhale, hinge in the left hip. Come down. Find your place down that left leg where you're not losing that plane of the pose stacking up over that line between your feet, not collapsing forward. Right arm over left. Maybe gaze up past the right fingers. Now, both feet are all the way grounded down on the floor. Whole foot is working, both left and right. Steady, even breath. Next inhale, we're going to bend the left knee. Use the left leg, help you come up. Hands are over feet. Okay, let's play with triangle pose a little bit more. Set up triangle pose for the right. We're going to add some movement here. So we're going to let the left arm lay down, let the right side go long, and inhale here. Exhale, triangle. Your triangle, whatever you were doing before, as far as how far down. Inhale. Exhale, triangle. Pay attention to how far down is right to you. Inhale, lengthening that right side, looking up past your right fingers. Exhale, triangle. One more time, inhale. And exhale. Inhale, just arms up, hands over feet. Same thing other side, triangle to the left. Inhale, lengthen the left side, left arm up, look past left fingers. Exhale, your triangle on this side. However far down is right for you. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. I don't remember exactly how many we did on the first side. So for good measure, one more. Inhale. And exhale. Your legs are working differently than they usually do. Inhale, arms out, hands out over the feet. Point the feet forward. Let's step up to mountain pose for a second. Walk it out. Just let your legs and arms relax. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. And then we're going to step wide again. Hands are over feet. Same thing, right toes point right. Same line. This time, warrior two. Shoulders are down away from your ears. Arms are out. For warrior two, we just bend that right knee. Let the hips sink. Right foot might need to inch forward a little bit. What we're looking for is right knee moving towards 90 degrees over the right ankle. It doesn't have to be that far, but it can be that far. That's the direction that the pose is going. It's not going to jut past the ankle. So if your knee is sticking out past the ankle, your foot needs to go forward more so that the knee is no longer past the ankle. That is to protect the knee. We want it straight over the ankle or back. We also want to make sure that the knee isn't pulling inwards like this. I don't know if you can see that, but a lot of times the knee juts inwards because muscles in here are tight. So you can at least be aware consciously of sending the knee back so that you can see the inside edge of your ankle. If you can't see the inside edge of your ankle, see if you can send the knee back more. If you can't, make it less of a bend in the knee so that you have that option. You back it up enough that you have the option to keep the knee lined up with the ankle, not jutting in, not going past the ankle. All right. That's the main thing to pay attention to in Warrior One for safety, but other things help make the pose more effective. So one is we want the torso stacked over the hips. A lot of people start doing Warrior Two and it looks like this. Keep bringing it back. Pretend someone's pulling on that left arm, that back arm, to pull your torso over your hips. Okay? Arms are running parallel to the floor. It's also common, I see this, people don't know it, but their arms are their front arm is higher than their back arm. So line it up. I hope that this looks okay with the 3D, well, with the wide angle lens. I'll have to check it out later. So you look over your right fingers when you have all those things lined up. Now we're about to wear out on that right leg. So let's inhale, come up, let's switch sides, set it up on the left. Warrior 2 over the left leg. Check out the left knee. All the same things. Can you see the inside edge of the left ankle? Is your knee jutting past the ankle? Are your feet spread wide? Both feet working. Are your arms parallel to the floor? Is your torso stacked over your hips? Can you breathe? Deep, steady, even breath. Can you look at a point past your left fingers that isn't moving that will help you balance? Breathe. Now let's inhale, come up. Bring your hands down, hands on the hips. Let's rest. All right, we're gonna go side to side. So your toes point straight ahead, arms out like a T, and then arms up. Look up. Inhale. Exhale, warrior 2 to the right. The whole thing, one exhale. Inhale, toes forward, reach up, look up. Exhale, warrior 2 to the left. Inhale, reach up, look up, toes point forward. Exhale, warrior 2, right. Inhale. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands to the hips. Step back to the middle, mountain pose. Walk it out. Shake it out. Warrior 1 pose. So we did warrior 2 first. It does suggest there's a warrior 1, but we're going to learn warrior 1 second. Arms out to a T, step the feet wide, turn to the right, but this time we're going to angle that back foot in towards the front left corner of the mat, just like this. So your heel is down, toes pointing, front left corner. Still have a line, more or less, between your feet. They're still, neither one is askew. Now we are going to bend the right knee. Decide where that back foot, how far away it needs to go so that your right knee is over your ankle or back, but not jutting past your ankle, and the outside edge of your back foot, your left foot, can still push down into the floor. That's important because we're going to take our hands to our hips and turn the hips to face in the direction of that front leg. They're not going to go all the way in that direction, but your hip bones are moving in that direction. That's important because of the overall alignment of this pose. We want the hips to be going in the direction that we're going, towards that wall. You can imagine the two bones, pointy bones on the front of your pelvis, front of your hips. They're like headlights facing that way as much as they can. And you achieve that by pushing into the outside edge of the left foot, sending everything that direction. And then torso over hips, just like before. Arms reach up. Like we did in level 1, the arms are reaching up, but the shoulders are sinking down. Your hands can be shoulder width, or you can have your palms together. Some people do it that way. Or some people will interlace their fingers and point the index fingers up towards the ceiling. Any of those versions are fine. I'm going to do hands to shoulder width for the sake of demonstration here. Warrior one, steady, even breaths. Next inhale, come up. Next exhale, turn it around. Same thing to the left. That back foot is angled in. That back foot is pushing into the floor so you can feel that whole back leg is active, helping that right hip move forward. Left hip moves back, so they're squaring up as much as we can to the left wall. Torso over hips, turning. Left knee bending, but not jutting past the ankle. Knee is over ankle or back a little bit. Arms down, away from the ears. Hands actively reaching up towards the ceiling if you're doing that version. Breathe. Last exhale here. Inhale, let's turn to center. Arms are up. Exhale, warrior one to the right. Turn it to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center. Exhale, right. Your arms are getting strong. Who knew they would work so hard? Just reaching up into the air. Center. Exhale, left. Inhale, center, and exhale, arms down. Roll the shoulders away, around and away. Okay. Step your feet together, walk it out. Intense side stretch, also known as pyramid pose. It's similar to warrior one. Your right toes are going to face forward. Your left foot is going to be back and angled in, but not quite as wide as warrior one, because in this pose, we're not actually going to bend that front knee. So your feet are a little closer together, same angle through that left foot as in warrior one. Hands to the hips, hips turn to face that wall. Exhale, fold, hinge in your hips, fold over your straight right leg. Now we have options. So if you're just starting out, you can just fold over your straight right leg like this with hands on your hips. Another possibility is to take your hands down to your shin. Your right foot needs to be spread out really nice and wide so that it can help you balance. The inside edge of your right foot is grounding down to help you balance, like that part's especially important. Maybe fingertips can go on the floor. It's another variation. Your head and neck can relax. Or there's a third variation where your arms can be behind your back, opposite hand to opposite elbow. Or for the full pose, I'm going to show you for those who want to do that. For the full intense side stretch, you bring your hands behind your back, palms face in towards each other in this configuration, which is called reverse prayer. And this is the full traditional intense side stretch. That the reverse prayer hands are going to work up your back as much as they can. And then it would look like this. Intense side stretch. Steady gaze on a point that's not moving. And breathe. Okay, we've been here long enough. Inhale, bend your right knee for safety, push into your right foot, come up. Side two. Same thing to the left. Angle that back foot in. Same options with the arms. So if you're doing reverse prayer hands, you can just keep them there. Fold over your straight left leg, belly coming towards the thigh. Other options are hands might just be on your hips still, that's totally fine. Hands might be on the left shin. Might be down at the floor, either hand on either side of the left foot, folding over the left leg. Steady breath. Next inhale, we're going to bend the left knee, push the left foot, come up. Feet back to center. Step your feet in and walk it up. All right, let's do a balance pose. Let's do tree pose. We're going to stand in the right foot and take your arms out to a T. So your right foot has to spread really wide. It's gonna be what we balance on, so it has to be a nice, fat, wide base. Arms to a T for balance. Look at something that's not moving. Stand on your right leg, okay? If this is challenging right here, go to a wall and have your fingers on the wall while you balance on your right foot. Now, to move into tree pose, we're going to take the left knee out to the left as far as it can go. So you're actually creating a little hip stretch here. And your left foot goes against your right calf. And you balance here. If this isn't an option balance-wise, you could even creep those left toes down to the mat. And that gives you another balance point there, toes on the mat. If this is super easy, you can go to the next step where you're going to grab your left ankle, bring it up as far on that right leg as you want. You push your left foot into your right leg so it's two opposing forces pushing in towards each other, and that will help you balance. Main thing to know is you don't want to put that foot, especially the heel, right up against the knee, because you don't want your right knee to get a lot of pressure from the side. So have your left foot above or below that right knee. Okay, other options, hands like this is the easiest to balance because your arms are like airplane wings. You can also have palms together in front of your heart. You can also have arms reaching up or fingers interlaced, index fingers pointing up. Pick one, breathe, and balance. Look at something that's not moving. That's really important. That's what's going to make it work. Steady gaze on a single point. It's called drishti in yoga. And anytime you're balancing, you want a drishti gaze point, and that will change everything. Okay, come out. Arms to a T. Bring your leg to center like this. If you want to be fancy, you can extend it. And then exhale down, arms down. Side two, drishti gaze on a single point. Fat wide left foot, arms to a T. Right leg comes up, right foot comes up. Decide if you need to go to a wall. Then whether you're at a wall or in the middle of the room, right knee moves back, start opening the hip. Right toes can be on the mat or on the right calf. Decide, are you going to stay below that left knee or are you going to go above it? If you're going to go above it, you grab the right ankle, bring it up as high up as you want to go. Steady gaze. Make sure you're balanced. If you're steady, you can work with the arms, hands together in front of your heart, or arms reaching up. Tree pose. Steady breath. Come down, arms to a T, hands to your hips. Lift the left leg out in front of you, maybe even extend it, and down. one more balance pose called Warrior 3. So we met Warrior 1, Warrior 2. There is a Warrior 3. There's not a Warrior 4 that I know of, so just 1, 2, and 3. I'm gonna do the side view for this. This has a lot of options of how far into it you go. So let me check my time here. Okay, let's do this. We're gonna balance on the right foot first. So you want your foot to be nice and wide and fat and ready to hold you up. Arms out like a T. Left leg behind you on your toes. Steady gaze on the floor in front of you. So if this is a balance challenge for you, you stay here and work with this. If it's not enough, you start letting your left leg go up as your torso tilts forward. Now you could stop anywhere along here. And if you're learning this for the first time, you might want to watch the video part of this before you start to balance, because if you're looking at the video, you're definitely going to fall over. Balancing on the right foot. So left leg goes up as torso comes forward, and you could stop here, you could stop here, you could choose anywhere along the line until you get to torso parallel to the floor and legs straight back. If you get to here, then you could take the arms out in front of you and extend the arms out by the ears to make as much of a line as you can from your fingertips out through your left foot. What you do want is your hips to be as level with the floor as possible. So think about those pointy hip bones on the front of the pelvis. They're level with the floor. Tendency is for that left hip to go up. So we want to keep leveling it down. A way to check on that is to see if your left toes, your back toes, can point towards the mat. If they're off at an angle, then your hips probably aren't level. Okay, come out the same way you came in. Shake out that right leg, it worked really hard. Now, if that was really challenging for you and you want another way to work up to it, you can do that same pose at a wall. And it looks like this. So you can practice this as your Warrior 3 to let your body get used to doing that movement before you have to worry about falling over. So wall is always a good option. Let's do the same thing on the left leg. We're going to stand on the left foot, spread it wide, arms out to a T, right foot is back there, right toes help you balance for now. Reaching actively through your fingers, it does make a difference. Steady gaze on a single point, and then find your balance point. So your Warrior 3 could look like this, or this, or this, or this, or parallel to the floor. Once the majority of your body is parallel to the floor, arms can extend, and we breathe. Check your hips. Pay attention to your right foot or your right toes pointing down towards the ground. If so, then your hips are probably okay. Slowly come up. Again, you could have done that at the wall if that felt better. All right, forward fold from here. Let's hinge at the hips, soften the knees, belly towards your chest. Come to forward fold and hang. Take opposite hand to opposite elbow. And let your upper body dangle. Knees are soft. Let your torso sway side to side. Neck is relaxed. Come to center with your torso. Let your arms hang. Slowly roll up. Inhale. Knees are soft, rolling up, nice and slow. Coming to mountain pose. Now come to lay down on your back, however that works best for you. Pull your knees in towards your chest. You can wrap your arms around your knees like this, or you can take one hand to each kneecap. Let your body rock side to side. Knees to chest, this is called. Then arms out like a T, knees bent 90 degrees over your hips. Supine spinal twist, which we've learned before. You get to do it again. Palms are up. Let your knees tip to the right. Just like before, you could grab a pillow or a bolster, a rolled blanket, something to support your knees if going to the floor feels too far away. Make the floor come higher up. Right hand, you have the option to weigh that top knee down with your right hand. Gaze turns to look over your left fingers. Eyes are closed. Supine spinal twist. So top half going one way, bottom half going the other way. Steady breath. Exhale. On the inhale, use both arms against the floor and your core to bring your legs back up. Exhale, legs to the left. Move the support if you had something under your knees. Support under knees to the left, gaze to the right. Bringing out the dish rag on this side. Top half one way, bottom half the other way. Exhale here. Inhale, use your arms on the floor and your core to come up. Come to center. Knees pull in. Figure 4, which we also learned in level 2, so I'm not going to break it down too much. You've done level 2. If you're here with me now, you've done level 2 and you know your options for figure 4, also known as thread the needle. So you pick the option that you did in level 2 and do it again. Doesn't matter which side you do first. Then we switch sides. As we did before, when we did this in level 2, you steer into the stretch. Wherever you're hanging on to the left knee, it's going to inch towards your left shoulder. Right knee is going to inch away from your right shoulder, stretching the right hip. Little movements, no frozen poses. Letting that right hip, outer hip, get a little movement. And then unwind this, pull both knees in, rock side to side, come to center. Inhale, reach long. Fingertip to toe tip, fingers reaching up over your head, toes reaching the other direction. Get as long as you can get, big stretching machine. And then exhale, relax, start dissolving into the floor. set up for your final relaxation pose. So you will consider putting support under your knees, just like we did in level 2. That's always an option. You see if you want that, and if you don't need to get it. If you do, please put something under your knees. Set yourself up to be symmetrical, left and right. Palms are facing up. Do any adjustments that you need to do to get rid of distractions. So scan the body, see what needs to fidget around a little bit more, take care of it, find that symmetry, pay attention to feet and arms and legs and hands and shoulders, neck, all of it. Close your eyes. Steady, even breath into and out of the lungs. You keep laying there. I am going to actually sit up so that you can hear me better. Then I'll lead a little bit of a meditation. You are in final relaxation pose, also known as Shavasana in yoga, also known as corpse pose, meaning full stop. Steady, even breath, sensing changes in pressure through your whole body with each in-breath, each out-breath. Let your whole body breathe. Whenever your mind wanders, bring it back to the breath and to your sensations over and over again. At the end of each exhale, make a vast amount of space in your body and in your mind. Let this be a delicious full stop for a couple minutes. Let your body be held in a blanket of stillness. And then start becoming comfortable with the silence. See who you are when there's nobody in particular to be, and nothing in particular to put out there into the world. Right now, there's nothing to do, nothing to prove, nothing to figure out. See what you find in that precious space. then you can stay here longer if you want, and if you do, just pause the video for however long. If you're ready to start coming out of this, what I want you to do is slowly use your breath to bring you back. Deep, even breath. Start making some little movements to wake yourself up. And then bend your knees all the way, put your feet on the mat. Roll onto one side. Doesn't matter which, you pick a side. From there, use your hands and arms pushing into the floor to help you sit up. Come to any seated position. Traditionally in yoga, it's the cross-legged seated position that we learned in level 2, but we're not going to be here long, so you just sit. And thank you. Namaste. Video. Add the ones that you want to keep to your practice list, just like we talked about in level 2. By now, your practice list should have poses from all 3 levels on it. When you do your yoga practice, you can choose whether you want to follow me or whether you want to work from your list. At this point, it would make sense to do a mixture of both, depending on the day, your mood and inclinations, and the amount of time you have. If you have a shorter amount of time, maybe try working from your list. I know my practices are longer at this point because I'm doing a lot of teaching while I'm leading them, but when you are comfortable with the poses, they won't take you that long to do. I recommend holding a pose. At this point, most poses we're holding for roughly 3 to 5 breaths. Later on, you move more between the poses. Like in the half sun salutation, there you're moving 1 pose per breath. But for a static pose that we're just learning the shape and form of, 3 to 5 breaths. So you can cover more poses on your own than you can with me, because when you're on your own, you don't have to listen to me talk. The order in which you do the poses matters somewhat, but don't get too hung up on that. For now, the main idea is that you start your practice with whole body movements that allow your body to warm up, and you do that before you do movements that are deeper and more precise and one-sided. So for example, those standing poses we did today, like triangle and pyramid and warrior 1 and warrior 2, and balance poses like tree, half moon, warrior 3, they're all one-sided poses. In those poses, the 2 sides of your body are doing different things that are fairly precise. So before you do poses like that, you want to do some warm-up movements that are not quite as precise and demanding, and that move both sides of the body at the same time. So examples of movements we've done so far that warm up the body and move both sides equally include half sun salutations, chair pose, wide leg forward fold, flowing bridge on the floor, knees to chest. Think symmetry, left and right. If you don't want to lead your own practice at all yet and you just want to follow me, that's fine, but I suggest that you alternate between levels 1, 2, and 3 at this point. You can decide how you want to do that, but even though you're now at level 3, those movements from levels 1 and 2 are still really important, so you want to get them in somehow, whether you just rotate each day, you do a different one and cycle around that way, or maybe you pick out a couple movements from levels 1 and 2 that you want to tack on to the end of level 3. Do what works for you, but don't forget and leave out all the movements from levels 1 and 2. If you're using one of my videos multiple times, you can always fast forward past the talking parts at the beginning and the end, as long as you're sure you understand everything that's being said. So you can just jump ahead to the practice section. Fortunately, YouTube lets you do that. And my usual closing announcements. I'm considering offering one-on-one yoga practice consults over Zoom. Still thinking about that, so that I can help you out if you have questions, want an alignment check, or have any issues with what you're doing. So if you want to do that, let me know so I can get an idea of the interest. You can comment below or email givingtreemassage@gmail.com. To find more practices, follow this channel. I'll be adding a bit more bit by bit, as well as making some specific practices available for payment down the road. So I'll label any of my announcement videos about future offerings as simply announcements. So thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. You can subscribe to the channel and definitely come back. All right, thank you. Bye.